Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusha here, and now, before I do begin, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. We had Deku. We also had the SCP Foundation. Now, Deku, he's been through a lot, and the Foundation are well aware of that. Izuku, after spending a year on the mountain, came back down. We saw how he went to therapy, how he was trying to talk to his therapist, but trying to figure out exactly how to express what he considers normal in his daily life. Now, Deku, he showed he was quite concerned about the people around him, how things were, but he also tried to talk about how certain things are in his life. He didn't really know how to acknowledge a lot, and the therapist, they could see that. Deku also got to meet with SCP-4960, and the way that meeting went, and the way the Foundation predicted it, were far different from each other. A year and a half ago, if not 1 year and 7 months ago, there was an incident where deific entities all across the world turned their attention towards Site-19. There was an incident where a god died, and this took a lot of entities by surprise. It even caught the attention of the Gate Guardian, and the Foundation, they were highly intrigued about this. Deku killed a deity, and one wanted to meet him. She stopped her cooperation with the Foundation. Deku went to the site she was housed at and talked with her. Deku learned about what she was. He saw her personnel file, and while the two were talking, Deku confided in her about a lot of things. He is trying to understand emotions, and she helped Deku understand. However, things got heated whenever Deku and her shared a moment, and then the Foundation were alarmed, because Deku and the goddess began to make out. Now, the Foundation did break it up. However, the two, they were still allowed to converse, and that was something that they were not expecting. Afterwards, however, Deku was quickly taken away back to his site, since if he does linger around, they were concerned about him getting some thoughts in his head. Now, Deku, when he got back home, he was trying to think about what to do. Ask Dr. Bright for some advice, call Mallow, confess his feelings to Rose. Mallow and, well, there's just a whole thing there. It was interesting. However, while that's all been happening, Deku's been also trying to practice a few more things. He's been working on his shapeshifting capabilities. And with that being said, let me begin. It has been a few days. The O5 Council have been made well aware of the incident with Kadesh, and she is still quite adamant about meeting that anomaly again. She knows something, and the Foundation's well aware that she knows. And Izuku, while he might be pleading ignorant to using some of his abilities, there is the fact that he has his own concerns. He wants to be able to call Kadesh on a phone. And that's in the Foundation they have a lot of worries about. First of all. Second of all, they might need to run by the ethics committee. And, well, there's a possibility for a breach in security. Though, if they do monitor her connection to the internet properly, they should be okay. And right now, Deku does sit on his couch, a lot going through his mind. Him watching TV as Mallow does somewhat lay there asleep. Right now, him bring his hand up as she does lay there on the couch. Him going to pat her on the head as he does a look up, quite intrigued about a lot of things. It's been a few days. They're hanging out and falling back in a routine. Routine? Whatever. He's concerned. The routine has been a bit different. Felt different. He's got this weight in his chest. This tightness. He's felt it before, but now he thinks he doesn't understand it. I mean, he cares for Mallow. He cares for Rose. And Kadesh was a very interesting individual to meet. Hmm, that is quite interesting. Deku's somewhat leaning back. Before he does, have Mallow turn her head and just ask him if he's alright. Hmm? I'm fine. Just, just a little concerned about a few things. Her sitting up and turning. Right now, her tank top going on shift as Deku does express. He's okay. And she does gotta ask him if he really is. She has heard quite a few things. I'm fine, Mallow. I'm just preoccupied with a few things. Hmm. The Foundation might need me for some work. That's really just about it. Dr. Bright's talking about this thing that's happening, and I don't know. The Foundation might need me to intervene. He talked about it, but he hasn't gotten back to me. Is that true? Yeah, but that does tend to happen from time to time. I see. Well then, I do understand. I was sure you would. Though, what about you? Anything new? I mean, I don't think there might be. Her gonna slightly lean back on her knees before she's gonna move backwards and sit down on the other side of the couch, talking about it. There's not really much. They're not really doing tests with her at the moment, though that's another story. She's around. Plus, she's not really cooperative. Some of them are stupid. Others are weird. And she's unwilling for some. I'm sure. I get it. Run out the door to Deku's room, going to emit a sound. Him turning his head before he says stand up. And someone, they do come walking into the room as Deku does go to stand. Whenever he does see someone in a suit, followed by Dr. Bright. Right now, a blonde man wearing the amulet as he does go to step in. This being where Deku does go to see the two. Currently, Mallow leaning up and going to somewhat lean over the couch. As a member of the ethics committee, they do a walk right up to Izuku and go to tell him, holding up a file. Right now, there's a lot of concerns centered around him, and they would like to make him aware that the O5 Council currently at the moment are looking into his case. However, at the moment, they would also like to understand a few things. They're going to put things up to a vote within the hour. His shape-shifting capabilities. How well has he mastered them? He looks almost entirely human. But exactly what is the extent to them bringing their hand up and going to express, gesturing at him. Deku understanding and nodding. Before he does a point at his eyes and open his mouth, showing the person about how he's understanding things a bit better, though he's figured it out. He was close to it a few days ago, but just give him a minute. Deku closing his mouth and going to close his eyes before he is out of focus and go to work his magic. His body can shapeshift. Some things are easier and some things are harder. However, this is where another ability of his does come into play. His ability to escape from tight spaces, turning his body into a liquid. Though with a little bit more focus, he can master it. Deku focusing on his teeth, before he does go to feel his mouth turn to jelly. His jaw going slack for a minute, and as a person, they do somewhat take a step backwards. Turning as Dr. Bright does get a somewhat wince, before Deku does open his eyes and open his mouth. And the people, due to watch as Deku's teeth, do look a lot more human, a lot less sharp, a lot less spiky. And he does go to ask, closing his teeth together and feeling them feel strange, opening them and going to chatter them together. Is Deku somewhat moving his jaw, and the two do just stare at that. As Dr. Bright does talk about it. Well, shit. Look at that. The eyes are a little off, but the teeth are better. Almost looks human. Practically is. What are you talking about? Well, we're staring right at him. Teeth are a little sharp still, though it could pass for a body modification. Person stepping forwards, before going to bring their hand up and telling Izuku to keep his eyes open, leaning forwards and expressing, yes, okay, the eyes could pass for human. Yeah, that does work. So he's good to go? I'll bring this to the ethics committee. The others as well. The person turning and asking Izuku if he's able to hold those shapes, or are they not able to? Deku nodding his head before speaking, talking about it. He's able to do this. It's not that hard. He's been practicing a lot. What's the big deal? What's the mission? Is it a mission? And Dr. Bright does get a hold of a file, talking about it. They'll get him on a plane and talk about that soon. However, right now, his mission is going to take him out in public. So they need him to be careful, and they need him to be a little bit more incognito. They've got him some sunglasses, just in case. But anyways, they need to get him fitted for the style the Foundation used last time. Afterwards, they need him to investigate reports of a anomalous fight club. Do you know the rule, Dr. Bright? Of course I know the rule, Izuku. Though this isn't that type of fight club. Unfortunately. So we don't know what rules they have, and we don't know which kind to apply. Yes, you're right about that. Though, what am I investigating? Dr. Bright walking over to the table, setting something down before walking over, pouring himself a cup of coffee, and going to sit back down. Deku going to have Dr. Bright set down the pot as he does a stand-up, turning and grabbing it and walking over to the fridge, grabbing a bit of milk, before adding sugar and going to sit back down, sipping from the pot. And Dr. Bright does a sip his cup of coffee, looking up at Izuku, as he does going to open the file and begin to talk about what the current case might be. Right now they're going to a place in Texas. They're going to be heading to Austin, Texas. There have been some strange reports and a lot of things the Foundation is trying to cover up. However, that's been getting a lot more challenging. They have had to suppress social media, along with pulling content down and putting up content that is fake. They've also had to suppress the news on current ongoing investigations about. That's the thing, Izuku. We've received reports of multiple things there. In fact, we even have intel that does suggest that these are connected. We need you to investigate it. Last incident was about a week ago. Dr. Bright going to slide a photo in front of Izuku, telling him, this picture was taken. However, people aren't really too sure what it could have been from. We're not him going to turn. Before Deku's laptop, it does a ding on the counter. Him standing up expressing, sliding the file over to Izuku. Go ahead and take a look at the rest of the photos that are in there. His email just got sent. Him going to walk over and grab the computer, opening it and typing in the password as he does go to express to Izuku. Okay, he's got to download a few things, so just take a look at that real quick. Izuku looking at the folder. Before he does go to stare at a paper of... what is this? It's a building, it's a little dark, and there's a guy. He's wearing rabbit ears. The next photo showing him bending his knees. For the third, does it show him bending further, and the fourth does it show him leaping through the air. Him a few feet off the ground. And the next photo does it show him out of frame, however, the next one does it show him coming back down. And Deku, he doesn't see that. He's jumping off of a large building. I mean, what is this from? Deku looking in the corner and seeing a timestamp, aware that this is body camera footage. Aya is going to turn, beginning to look at some of the other photos and looking over the data. I mean, okay. From what I can see, there's a person staying there with a guy wrapped in bandages. A cosplay event, maybe? Dr. Bright once talked about sneaking into Comic-Con. Deku going to slide out the photos and go to turn, as Mallow does a teleport into the chair next to him, and Deku does a turn. Her leaning onto the table asking exactly what he's looking at. I don't know. Deku staring at the photos, looking at the story they do tell. The man and woman do stand there. They're doing something. They're talking. But then another man does come walking out. And over his hand does it get caught in the light? The way it looks is not anywhere near human. It reflects. It looks like... Huh. That looks like something from a game he's seen. This on his mind. Before there is where the next photo does show this face of some inhuman creature. It then cutting off as the next photo does it show sparks and lights lighting up the area. And this Deku does not like to see. Dr. Bright walking over and going to express. Alright then. Take a look at this. Setting down the laptop and spinning around. Deku bringing his hands up and carefully pressing play. As the photo he saw, it does at least manifest in footage. Deku hearing some voices as he does pick up on them. It showing someone staying there in the alleyway as it does record someone walking around a corner. Him reappearing and talking to his friends, expressing to them about how he seriously can't believe that's how it all went down. You're telling me that was bullshit, and you know it. Trust me, I do. But it was how the bets were placed. Can't get on about that. I would have won. Yeah, big guy, we know. A sound being heard. Someone turning and shouting out about how there's someone there, and they do get a turn running off. Them turning their head, and Deku does see as a woman, her head does a shift. It around their body like an owl, facing backwards instead of forwards. Them taking off running as someone they do go to bring up their hand. The bandage on the mummy man wrapping around this person's wrist, guiding them as to where their body needs to run. And this, it does get Deku's attention, their head snapping back as the blast does begin. And this, it does tell Deku something. The Foundation are trying to capture these people. They're in Austin, Texas. Though when they went running past that alleyway, the person turned. There was no place for them to walk out of. They heard a door, something latching, but when they turned the corner, there was nothing there. There was nobody there. And this is the Foundation getting quite the interest in. These people have been popping up for weeks. Dr. Bright expressing. Right now, they want him to capture them. Go, if they can, undercover. They've already had a lot of strange reports around the US. And while this is the most latest, there's the fact that the last incident was in Philadelphia, where one of these individuals was spotted about a month ago. Though getting across the US like that within a month, let alone in the dark, yeah. He doesn't think whatever that one anomaly is hiding its face could do that. It's something beyond normalcy. And that is a problem. With the others' help, it could be done. Dr. Bright sitting down in his chair, leaning back and crossing his arms, asking Deku exactly if he does feel up to it, since they will have him on a bit of a team. And Deku does look up, asking exactly if he gets to pick. I knew you'd say that, boy. Trust me, I've already picked out your team members for you. Don't get me wrong. Though, we're going small for this. Keep it at that. Someone to monitor you and, well, you and then someone else. We're trying to keep this a bit more low-key. Let's just say that it's gonna work a little well. Someone who looks Foundation, someone who isn't. Yeah. We need anomalies for this. Though someone did volunteer. I believe you're familiar with them already? Rose? Well, she's gonna be there too. I brought this assignment up to her. It's a good way for her to achieve brownie points with the, O5. Besides, she's talked about being able to use magic before, so it'd be a good way to demonstrate that as well. Though, him leaning forwards, his eyes somewhat glancing over to Mallow. And Dr. Bright does give a bit of a cheeky grin. Deku bringing his hand up and pointing at Dr. Bright. And the man does give him a bit of a shitty grin, as Deku does talk about it. He'd rather leave that alone for right now. Come on, kid. It's either gonna happen or the Foundation might try to cut you off. You know, that can be a cock block, I've heard. Sure, Dr. Bright. Sure. 'Cause I'll listen to what you say. It doesn't work anymore, does it? You know, I remember a time where I used to say something and you just go along with it. Oh, how the years have passed by, how old I must be feeling. Dr. Bright, yeah, ruined my fun. Listen, there's something in Texas and we're putting together a team. In all seriousness, Izuku, Zenith volunteered. You've met her from the expedition team. Then Rose is up for it, and, well, someone who's a little green behind the gills. Though, they're just green enough to not seem Foundation. Just make sure you don't get any of them killed. I know you'd feel bad about losing Rose. Plus, from what I've heard, Zenith, she was enthusiastic to someone see you again. She was skeptical about anomalies. You did change your mind, so that is good. Score a point for us, huh? Deku staring at him, nodding his head and talking about it. So, he's gotta get fitted for tattoos then. Yeah, you're gonna need to. Though, I could look into a few other things. Hmm, 4 is a bit big for a group. Then again, you'll be staying at a safe house, so that's not that bad. Deku nodding his head, asking if he's gonna be able to go in public. Yeah, you will. Mainly, though, I think you'll be driving around. Then again, him holding up his hand, telling Deku, don't do the thing that frogs do, and look both ways crossing the street. If anyone tries to activate him, remember, don't go all out against them. Hell, just if someone tries to attack him, take them out carefully. Don't break things, and be careful with that. Treat them like glass, like how he treats Rose. Really? Listen, I'm not saying you can kill them. I'm just saying you shouldn't rip them apart like a fucking Snickers bar. Alright? I guess? So just draw it out? I wouldn't say draw it out, but definitely make sure that if you are attacked by somebody who is normal, you don't get hurt. I mean, hell, it'd be hard to explain to cops why a knife keeps breaking in your skin, let alone why you're bulletproof. The Foundation's taking a bit of a big risk, but after your last expedition to Zuku, we're hoping to improve upon this. If we can capture these people, we can make a good case as to why you can go out in public. Do you understand? This could be big for you. Dr. Bright going to get serious, and Deku doesn't like the way he drops his face. He's never liked that way, never liked that look. It's always bad news when he says it, or something he doesn't want to say. Izuku, this is good for you. If you're able to do this, you can stay a little bit more outside the Foundation. Find a place, find something for you. Work with them, but also be a part of the world. Isn't that what you wanted? Deku's staring at Dr. Bright. In his face, it does go to immediately change. Him leaning back and unfolding his arms, throwing his hands behind his head and telling Izuku, right, sorry. You know, he hates doing that. I mean, holding that face for a long time gets super tiring. Plus, well, this is good for him. They're going to be taking a bit of a trip. Head out, look around, have a little bit of fun. Hell, the Foundation's already got false identities made for them. Though, they are going to keep his name as Izuku. He doesn't exist. So, that's really about it. Anyways, they've got a few things planned and things covered. So it should be fine. Really? Oh, yeah. No, it's gonna be alright. Though, I think you might have to keep an eye on Rose more. I know Zenith and this new guy, they're not gonna like you very much. Well, Zenith, you saved her life. This new guy, yeah, not too sure about him. Oh, what do you mean? Well, from what I can understand, some guy with a stick up his ass, so be careful. Or don't. See what happens. I mean, isn't there a phrase for that? I think so, but we'll see how things go. Deku nodding his head. and Dr. Bright does understand. Deku going to stand up, reading the file and learning a bit more. There's been a string of incidences connected to these people. Not just that, when he looks a bit more at the laptop, he does see how certain things are. I mean, these people running around, stealing, taking stuff, getting caught on camera. There's not very many instances, but these are from 3 different places across the US, all spread far apart. But that does then raise the question, how the hell did they get there? And Deku, he does want an answer to this. And there is about an hour later. The Foundation, they've already got bags packed, places booked, and their front companies have already handed out the keys to the proper people. And right now, we do have about a day later, where the doors that open to an apartment, them stepping in and talking about it. So, this'll be interesting. Zenith's gonna turn. Her expressing about turning to Rose. It looks like how they might be apartmenting together, rooming together. This reminds her about her days back in college. She's a little excited for this. Her turning. Before she does go to express to the other member of the team, holding the keys. So the boys might be apartmenting together. Rooming together? Thanks, says Izuku. I'm not good at that. I'm just a little excited though. Her turning to Rose, asking her a question as Rose does get to speak in her language. And Deku does express. What she's trying to say is slow down a bit. And this is where Zenith does get to turn back to Deku. Before it does get a dawn on her. She can't speak to this anomaly. She can understand me though, right? Her looking at Rose. Before there is where Alex, the 4th member of their team, does get a step in, talking about it. He doesn't really think she can. I mean, she's been with the Foundation for how long? And Rose has a turn, saying in a little bit of English, barely. Slow down. And this, it is somewhat accented. Them looking at her as Deku does talk about it, telling Rose. They're not used to how she speaks yet. Then again, they're also thinking that they can understand. Well, that she can understand them. And Deku does express. It might be best for him and her to apartment together. Or room together. She made him say it now. I don't think that's a good idea. Our bosses want at least one of us to keep an eye on both of you. It might not be a bad idea. Alex stepping forwards. Before he does step into the apartment and talk about it. Setting down a bag that maybe it might be best if they stay in one apartment. Him motioning for everyone to come in. As the door, it does close, and he does turn around, talking about it. They really shouldn't be talking about this type of stuff out in the open. So, they've got to figure this out now. What do you mean? Okay. The Foundation already want us to be wary of all this. If I stay here with the anomaly, Izuku, as he likes to be known, it might not be a bad idea. Our Foundation translators are still a little spotty. They don't really work too well. I don't understand what you mean. Deku turning, as he has asked Rose exactly how well she can understand them. And she's a turn. Deku asking one of them to talk. And over Zenith does get to try and ask Rose about plants. This is whenever Deku does a turn looking at her. Her saying how she got a few of those words. And he does get to ask her exactly if she's talked to Miss J. And she does go to tell him. She's had about a session or two, but the Foundation, they're more interested in learning her language first, before anything else. Along with that, she hasn't been able to be squeezed in again. They have her booked for a while. And while she does have an appointment for it, it's over a month out. And the two do get to stare at Rose as Alex does hold the Foundation translator. It telling him a few of those words, and he does have to try and decipher that. And it does take him longer than he would like it to. And Deku does express, turning back. Maybe it would be best if he does stay. Are you sure? I'm just saying. She's very talkative sometimes. Her looking at Deku, giving him a look as he's turned back to her, talking about it. He did see a park down the road. Maybe they can all head over there later? They need to get to know the area, right? That's fair. Are you sure? Zenith turning, talking about it. If he doesn't trust Izuku, then he should. He saved her life before. He's a good guy. Besides, he's the one who's green here. He's got more experience than both of them. Plus, you might not want to get on his bad side. She's heard a few things. Have you? Him looking back at Deku, and Deku does go to walk past him back down to the vehicle they have downstairs. One of the trucks, it has a lot of their gear, and the van they do have does have more of their clothes and other things they'll need. Now, they do start to unload, them trying to talk about the situation they're currently in. Alex gets his gear unpacked, him setting a few things up and getting all his monitoring equipment put into a room. He's got to figure this out. Once he has himself connected to a network, he'll be able to monitor things around the city. When something pops out or an incident is involved, they should be able to start following it. The Foundation are trying to track this. These people are getting more out into the open, more seen. And it's not just that. With the activity in this town, there is a fear people will take more than a little bit of notice to it. And what they have suppressed already, it's beginning to get a bit more out of hand than they would like. They're considering shutting down the town. But with the fact that it's a very big city, that will raise a lot of questions or alarms. They could say something happened to the town, but evacuating everybody, yeah. That would just mean these people pick up their operation and head somewhere else if they can. Plus, with the fact that they're seemingly teleporting here, that means there's something happening. They're somehow getting across the US. And it might not just be some sort of random road trip. It could be by anomalous means. And the Foundation, they're all for investigating these situations. The human level in Texas has maintained a steady rhythm, but there has been some fluctuations they have been able to monitor. And right now, Deku, he does get a few more things unpacked. Currently, him going to set down some equipment and a bag. And everyone, they do sit in one of the apartments. Deku sitting on the couch as he does his own stretch. Him bringing his hand up and going to twist his neck. Him popping it as Alex does a turn, hearing what sounds like a brick being shattered. Him turning. And Deku does his own stretch again. I'm a lot more horrified and alarmed as Deku does get a turn. What? Are you okay? Oh, Yeah, sorry. Just a little tired, really. Flight was pretty long, and I had to read that entire file. Was trying to go over a few things. Also, trying to calm Rose down. Really. Yeah, him turning. And Zenith, currently, does stand in the kitchen pouring some freshly brewed tea. Talking about it. Walking over the counter about how, so, that system is automated, right? For the most part. I can remotely access it, but I can do a bit more about that at night. Though, again, our situation, him turning and throwing a finger at Rose, talking about it. So who's rooming with the other anomaly? I mean, he's not really comfortable being here with Izuku. No offense. None taken. Though you're more of a brainiac, aren't you? Well, it's better than you calling me a nerd, so yeah, I'm more of a researcher type. I've seen a few things and worked on a few anomalies. Though, your number is 682-2, right? Yes, it is. I'm just surprised is all. We in the research department have heard a lot about you. Don't be intimidated. He's a good guy. Like I said earlier. If he wanted us dead, he could rip our throats out in 2 seconds. Her walking over, sitting down, and going to let out a bit of a grunt. Deku turning and seeing that she does somewhat strain herself with her movement. And as I turn, asking exactly how her recovery's been going. It's been fine. Though I do know I probably should go for a run later. Maybe a walk? Oh, that could be good. We could use it to explore the area a bit. I mean, I did want to see more of this town. We're in Austin, Izuku. Austin, yeah. I mean, there was a park. Deku turning, asking Rose if she'd like to go to the park to see exactly what nature has for them here. And she does, goes on to perk up and lean forwards, her eyes filling with a bit more excitement. Her bring her hands up and together. Her going to move her hands back and forth and express to them about how this does somewhat surprise her. She'd like to see this place. It's interesting. She saw a lot when they drove by. And Zenith does stare at her, quite surprised at how her reaction did change. And Alex, he does relax a bit, as he does go talk about it. Okay, so they could do that later, though. Maybe just settle in for right now. Try not to draw too much attention to themselves. So, his stuff is set up in this apartment. Uh, Not trying to lay claim to it, but that does mean that his room is in here, right? I think it does. So, what? We bunk together then? I mean, sounds about right. There's 2 rooms in the back, one has my equipment, I can stay in there. Unless Hizuka wants to stay in here. Zenith staring at Alex, well aware of his apprehension. He's still relatively new to the Foundation, within his first year. And the idea that the son of a killing machine is going to be staying in the apartment with him does freak him out a bit. She knows exactly what he knows. The rumors, a lot of things there. Plus, with what's been flowing around lately, he's a bit worried about leaving her in the same room. Though, she does have confidence he'll be alright. Deku going to turn and talk about it. So, how will this work then? They meet up in the morning, talk, and then what? They go out and explore? You were briefed on what to do and not to do in public, right? Yeah, that was in the dossier. Okay, good. So, We can go out for a walk and maybe go get some food. Maybe order in later and go out on the town a bit. It would be good for me to get up and be moving, get the blood flow going. Alex, is your stuff portable? Um, I can probably track it in the van, but not much else. I can probably track it on my phone, set it up that way. I can get started on that later, but well, you guys can go. I'll get everything set up. It'll take a while before we get anything back, right? Yeah, it might. Yeah, so might as well. Not really too big on going outside. Right, right. Though you're not stuck in a site. Yeah, yeah, no, I liked it back at the site. I'd just like to stay here, please. You're gonna have to get some sunlight sooner or later, Alex. Her gonna jump up, stretching her arms and talking about it. Right. Well, she'll get dressed and they can go out. Her turning and telling this to Deku. And Rose does jump up, understanding, saying out that she would like to go. And this, it does intrigue them. Deku turning and telling Rose telepathically about how he can help her learn a bit more English, give her a bit more lessons, if she's willing. And whenever people do see her jump and look at Deku, she has to express in the Druidic tongue about how he should warn her if he's going to do that. Since when could he do that? I forget sometimes. I can do a lot of things. Though don't be scared. I'm just trying to help. It would be better, right? Talk with more people? Yes, it would. Though, a bit more warning? Sorry, sorry. I'm not trying to look at anything in your head. I didn't know you could. Her jumping up, saying something to Izuku, and going to walk out the door. As, right now, Zenith does a turn, asking about what that was. And Deku does casually mention about how she doesn't like his telepathy, and Alex does a turn, his face dropping. Since that is terrifying to know, and Deku does express he's just trying to help. Though, maybe they can get going then. And Zenith does understand. Them heading out and walking down the street. And Izuku, he is looking around, quite intrigued. Currently, he does just stand there, in the park in Texas, looking around and seeing a few things. People running around, walking, talking, living their daily lives. Hearing a sound and looking up, a plane flying overhead, hearing the cars driving on the road nearby. And all these things, they do intrigue him. And some people do to look at Deku. Them staring at him as right now Rose does come up on his left. Her gonna grab his arm as she's to ask him exactly about what is going on here. Her pointing up, asking basically what that thing is. And Deku does that turn and smile, telling her about how that's a plane. They're magnificent things. They're like the thing they took here, but a bit larger than that one. And the random people do get to stare at the two. I mean, it's a guy in running shoes, jeans, a black shirt with sleeves all over his hands, arms, and, well, their torso. He's got those glasses and that hair of his. And Deku does a look, turning his head and seeing that Zenith does come up. Her trying to tell the two to slow down a bit. They're moving a bit too fast for her at the moment. And Deku does understand, talking about how both of them are kind of excited. Him turning, talking about how he can see a dog over there. And this is where Rose does a turn, her eyes going wide as she makes a sound of excitement. Some people turning to stare at the group as Zenith does get a turn, trying to calm down Rose, telling her it's not that big of a deal. And she's a stare on. watching as the dog does go running back over to its owner whenever they do go to grab the ball out of their hand. Now, Deku, he does get stare on, his eyes going to soften as he has a smile. This place is nice. It's cool. Zenith does get quickly move her way over, talking about it. Okay, maybe they shouldn't linger. They're drawing a bit of attention. Are we? Yeah, maybe. So, just be careful here and her staring at Rose. And Deku, he does go to bring his hand up, him tapping on the nose and scratching it with his finger. And she does get a nod. Deku using telepathy and asking, "What's up?" Her somewhat flinching a little as she said tell Deku to tell Rose not to use any of her abilities here. If her properties are seen, it will cause a scene. Alright, Deku turning, telling her exactly what she's saying. And whenever people do to walk past, they do to see Deku, speaking in a strange language they can't understand. However, they do just think it might be some sort of European language, since the way they're all acting, and his strange appearance, and those tattoos, they might as well fit. And Deku, he does go to continue walking through the park, him even expressing to Zenith about one thing he does want to do. They go out, get some food, and sit in a restaurant. They have a meal out in public. Hell, something that he has always wanted to try. And she does talk about it. That might be leaving Alex out. They can try that another time, but for right now, maybe just get some takeout and come back. And meanwhile, there is back at the apartment. Alex is monitoring a few things, going over a lot. His equipment is giving him some strange readings. That is certain. He's confused. The site in Texas is about. They're in Austin, so 4 hours away. Okay, so if they do run into a situation, available backup won't be there. And, well, there is the. Inside the bag, there is the cover identities they'll do have, their badges, everything they'll need. Him turning, going over everything. Police force, CIA, FBI. Him turning, going to look through a lot more. All these badges are legitimate and are connected to files that they just need to edit for themselves. So, as long as they do carry some of these around, they do have a bit more special privileges than the normal people here. And that is good. And there currently is Deku. They went inside of a restaurant and bought some food. Zenith talked about how it might be a little unhealthy, but hey, they're getting settled in and none of them really do feel like cooking. Plus, it's a nice opportunity to try some new things. Getting out on the town. They're maintaining some cover. They're just some tourists who might be stopping by in Austin, seeing how things are, checking out the local venues, maybe see how the nightlife is here. It's a good idea to stick around. Plus, it's not a bad idea. Try some cuisine. See how it all does turn out. And with that being said, they do head back to the apartment. Though Deku, when they do get a walk by the park, he does see somebody. Right now, all of them walking past as Deku, he is having a conversation. Him turning his head a bit confused as he looked behind him. And the person who walked past him, he could have swore he noticed them. Everyone looking at Deku as he's staying behind him. And there's no one there. You alright? I thought I recognized somebody. You guys didn't see that? See what? not the stars, not the no, no. The flower thing happens a lot, but the person, they go turning, asking if Rose saw the person walk by, or if she even saw the glowing flowers in the air. And this, it does catch her attention. Her looking at Deku as he does this one scratch his head, turning back and mumbling something about how he might be hallucinating again. And this, it does somewhat concern him. As General Rose does a stand there for a second, processing what Deku said. And they do get to start walking again, getting back to the apartment and trying to settle in. Since it might be a while until they find out what drew them here. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.